You hear that? That's the sound of a good time. And that must mean you're here with us, the Trout spinners. This
It's
is
so pathetic.
that's how people open shows these days.
Is it?
I don't know. It's like Steve Wright or something. It's good.
If that's how people open shows, Miles, then I don't want to be a part of any show anymore.
He did say my name. That must mean that I'm Miles Pennell. Aside from
You're so, do you know, it's so funny because you are so that DJ that Ricky takes the piss out of. You just said my name. That means I must be Miles Pennell. Who are you? And you're not. You're doing it slightly ironically, but not.
Would you please relate? Because there's people on the track. He's simply red.
It's simply red. Yeah, Miles Pennell is with me. I'm Gary. And
Gary Forstall for his full name.
Yeah, whatever. I hate saying it. So we are.
How are you?
We are. I'm okay, mate. We are the Trout spinners.
We are. 50 minutes, then we go back to being our usual depressed selves.
Well, we are. I am on air as well. You pretend not to be, at least, but yeah. How's it going, mate? How's things?
Yeah. Do you know what? Right. I was a bit inventive in the kitchen today, and I decided to jerk my own chicken. That's okay. Not. Have you ever worked with jerk? The method of jerking?
Yeah. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, it's very peppery. I've noticed. Yeah. So I marinated some chicken overnight. It's party house in the MP household, and it was
he loves calling himself MP. He loves it.
It's a satire. It's a satire of.
It's not satire. Definitely not satire.
But turned up chicken is really it's so hot, unbelievably hot.
Well, the thing is, jerking itself isn't hot, but what you add, you could do a jerk, or you could do a kind of a mild jerk,
like Ainsley does.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
He's got a new cookery show, old Ainsley Harriet.
Miles and I, we're still not 100% sure why, but we just love Ainsley Harriet. There's a lot of Ainsley Harriet memes, and I would encourage you to go on the internet and look. Yeah. But Miles, we shouldn't talk too much about Ainsley Harriet because
why not?
Because there's people in America listening to this who have no idea who he is. So it's
they got into the Ricky Gervais show good enough. And we might even talk about them coming up because yeah. So for anyone that is listening now, we're coming off the back of our show that we did with Dickie Anderson.
Yeah.
Richard, we were lucky enough to spend about an hour with R.A. Randers, Dandy Son, last week. He didn't do it. He did it for a nominal fee. It was all free.
No, it was no fee. It was no nominal fee. No, he obviously didn't want to be paid or anything. He was great. It was so cool to see him, and you could tell he was. I wouldn't say he certainly wasn't worried or scared, but he was slightly anxious, and he admitted that. And for him, it's the first time he's ever kind of talked about it, which is kind of amazing.
Coming out as Richard Anderson on the Tin Pot Radio podcast.
Tin Pot Radio station. It was I really enjoyed doing it, and I'll say we didn't do it perfectly. We're not interviewers. We haven't interviewed.
I apologise, mate.
But I'm proud of us for just doing it and arranging it and things. Well, you arranged it mainly.
I did. So. And I would take praise for most of that.
Okay, mate. I don't want it. That's why I just said you arranged it.
Didn't want it. Later's next.
But, it was. Yeah, I felt so good afterwards, and the response has been good. The response has been great from people who've listened. But one thing I've realised, it's not as easy as either of us thought to get people to listen. Because I didn't think we'd do the Richard Anderson episode and we'd get 1,000 downloads suddenly. But I thought more people. Like I posted it to a Facebook group, got 2 likes, no one reacted. So, but on Reddit, I think we got more of traction.
Yeah.
So I hope over the coming weeks, a lot of people listen to it, and
I think so. And that actually, let's start off with a bit of XFM in the community, because a lot of this does relate to the previous show, and also I've got a bit of a slightly longer preamble for us to have a look at before we get into the meat of the episode, as it were. So this was from someone who I just spoke to in present company, over the line, obviously, because I'm not breaking the rules. Someone was surprised that he'd aged. I think
it's true, because he was 47, but you imagine him as the person emailing the show, which you don't think is 47. You think of him as 20.
It's funny because when you listen to the shows, they haven't aged, but you have.
yeah, exactly. I've got one here, actually.
Go on.
So good. I wonder if he realizes that there are even weird Americans like me who still listen to the XFM shows daily, and consider the Dick Meister General to be a legend. Well, actually, he kind of did realise it. He was I would say this about him, he was very kind of humble. He did realise that he meant a lot to people. But I think we read out a comment on during the interview that someone put, something like, please tell him we love him. And I think he kind of, you could tell he really liked that. He not in an arrogant way, he really liked hearing that, which was
No, we'll have to send him some of these comments. And the guy that you're talking about, that's from Fixed Republic. And I followed up with him and basically said, how did you get involved in the shows? This is something I'd like to find out, particularly with people overseas. I think it's really interesting. And he said,
we found out about Erin last week, didn't we? So yeah, go
on. So he said, loved Ricky from Office and Extras. In 2010, the Ricky Gervais show found its way to the US, and he met Karl, in inverted commas. He found my way to Pilkopedia and the XFM shows, and haven't really stopped listening since. Thought I was weird until I discovered on Facebook that I wasn't alone. It's like some sort of alcoholic anonymous club,
like crystal meth anonymous. But that's interesting. I think for a lot of people, particularly even in this country, but particularly overseas, I got into it. I just happened to find the XFM shows before I found their podcast that they did from 2006 onwards. But I think the podcast became quite big, and they animated them and things like that. So they're nowhere near as good as the XFM shows. So I love the fact that Fixed Republican started on those shows. He's kind of started on the worst bit, and he's found the best bit, because I think a lot of people just do podcasts and think, oh, this is it, this is the audio stuff they did, I'm going to listen to this.
A lot of directors and comedians do their best stuff early on in the career, isn't it? It's that thing of difficulty of the second album,
Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing with Ricky is, and this, as much as we kind of don't like some of the direction that he goes in, if he'd created one amazing magical thing that transcended the era it was from, that would be amazing. But he's created two: the XFM shows and The Office.
Can I put this to you, Gary?
Go on.
Like, do a bit. I'm leaving you on a desert island, and you're going to be there for at least, I don't know, probably however long you think you're going to be there.
Is it Richard Branson's one?
No, it's not Richard Branson. Yeah, it's a desolate island. It's a nice island, but you can only take XFM or The Office.
Very good question. Did you just come up with that question?
Yeah. That's the sort of thing that I can come up with when pushed.
Thinking on his feet, ladies and gentlemen. Mars Purnell, MP.
That actually hurt because I cut myself cleaning a tin of lentils.
Okay. So anyway, back to the show. So I would take the XFM shows.
Yeah, I would too.
Take them, but apart
just
from anything
because
else,
there's more
volume of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know. There's just something about. We were talking about this off air. Like, there's a podcast that we kind of maybe will collaborate with, and they've been going longer than us, but they did an episode and they filmed it. And I said, I think that kind of, like Karl says, Karl's right when he says it kind of ruins audio. It does ruin radio. So there's something about audio that's better to listen to pass the time. Right, you haven't got to watch something as well.
We should put that on the poster. Great to pass the time. Trout spinners.
Yeah, but no, just passes the time a bit or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, the show that we're doing, and
I've got a bit more feedback if you want to know.
Yeah.
I'll just breeze through
We usually do this at the end, so save some for the end.
Okay, let's do the preamble at the end, but I'll do all the stuff now because I would like to come to this. It's slightly longer, but I would like to know your opinion on some of it. This is from Breachy Rocket on Twitter. Really didn't believe it would be him until the very last second. Proud of you boys. Erin Cundiff, the lovely Erin, you both did excellent. Nice interview. This is from Mr. Pilkington on Twitter again. Good job, guys. And from Simon Colnut, really could hear your excitement in interviewing him, which I think is fair to say.
That's nice, yeah. I would, we were excited. I'd never hide my excitement, but it was great. I was very excited.
Across the net on Reddit, this is from Base Coop, and someone had actually kindly posted our interview with them on the Reddit thread. And if you are a big fan of XFM shows, I do suggest you check it out. Their subreddit thread. It's really fun. Loads of funny gifs and memes and things to keep you occupied. Nice work, lads. Amazing to hear the Dick Meister interview. A great insight into one of the most notable characters of the XFM shows. I think it's really funny, this use of the word character. One day maybe we'll be on the Pilkopedia page. Miles and Gary.
Is that what he said?
No.
You said, he said that. Oh, God, I got excited.
We'd have made it in our careers if we're on the Pilkopedia page.
Well, it's an open source platform. We can technically put
add
stuff
stuff
on there.
Confidentially. This is from Russian Rocket, the last one I'll read for now until we move on. Russian Rocket 23 said the Dick Meister is just about how I would have expected him to be.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, and he was different from what I probably did expect, but not radically. And he was a nice guy, and it's nice to get that feedback. Yeah, absolutely.
I've sent him the episode, so the truth in the proof will be in the pudding if he likes it.
Thank you, everyone. I don't go on the social media Mars does, but I want to thank everyone for
easy.
No, it does mean a lot to us, doesn't it? No, in all seriousness, like the comments mean a lot.
Love it. Just as long as you have to do anything towards it.
Right, so on to
business now.
Episode 12, I think it is.
Mate, episode 12. They said we couldn't get this far, but we proved no one wrong.
No one said that because no one was interested.
No one's given a shit. So we're talking about today Series 2, Episode 12, originally broadcast on 9th of November 2002. Gary, what were you doing on 9th of November 2002?
Good question.
Which one was it?
No, I just got my A-level results. Well, a few months before.
What did you get in your A-levels?
Well, I don't want to go. I got A, B, or C. So
all right, whatever.
So, and I do you know where I was? I was in Birmingham University.
Why?
Because I went to Birmingham University for a term or two.
You went to Brighton, didn't you?
No, but I went to Birmingham first and quit.
Yeah.
Not me. and then I went to So I was, but it's.
I didn't know this about you.
Do you know what I was probably doing was watching the Rugby World Cup maybe, and I don't know. It was I certainly, one thing I wasn't doing is listening to the XFM show.
No, because this one features several famous Karl references.
Just before you get into I know you like to do this written preamble, but I just want to say first, I was listening back to the show and I was kind of like, it got to a bit and I was like, that is a seminal bit. That's a bit that transcends the show itself. It actually is bigger than the show. Then I got to another, and then I got to another. So I would just summarize.
Are you talking about our podcast or?
No, the XFM show.
Right.
So I was. There are three bits of this show that are actually important to the fact that we're doing a podcast about it, because it's shows like this, and there's very few of them where you get so many amazing.
Can I guess some of them?
Well, let me just say the ones I think, and then you can go back to your preamble. So I would summarize this as the why, put it in a bowl first, and Twix episodes. I think all of those things are much bigger than the shows themselves. Like, it's much bigger
would
than...
put the Twix story up there. That's a very popular Karl story.
But putting Y into a computer and put it in a bowl first. They're all bits that, like, not just...
What about Whitney Houston?
Whitney Houston was, like, on my reserve list. I was going to add Whitney Houston, but there's...
It was on the subs bench.
This is a fantastic show. But yeah, go on, finish your preamble quick. And then
you've kind of nailed it, to be honest. Features several famous Karl references, including the infamous Whitney Houston Rockbuster's clue, Karl's observation that you never see an old man eating a Twix, Karl's adventures in the Christian youth club Crusaders, and his attempt to confuse a computer. Guys, if you are going to listen to this episode, please do stay with us. If you haven't listened to the original episode on the 9th of November 2002, I will be posting a link. Do listen to the show there, and then come back. Have a lovely sit down, a lovely cup of tea, and a lovely bicky with us. Welcome back.
Or some brandy. That's very professional of you. Well, yeah. So the other thing about this episode, actually, it's a very, very good episode, but it's one of those. It's actually, out of all of the ones we've done so far, it's probably the most important episode. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's not like the Declaration of Independence. That's important. Please no. But it's important in the way that the show is now seen today. Shows like this are the reason for that. But the other little thing that I kind of noticed for the first time when I listened back to it yesterday is that there's two separate Karl laughs. That is very, very rare. I wonder if the listeners know of any other show where there's Karl laughs on two separate occasions, like not in the same segment, but like totally different bits. Like, because Karl laughs when he says they're probably still around there now, aren't they? Ricky says, like, and then Karl laughs. And then
at the end he laughs, doesn't he?
And then he says,
when he's trying to wrap it up.
And then when he's saying, I don't know why, there was probably more land back then now, which he laughs again. What? So it's very rare. There probably are shows, but if any listeners know of any, let me know.
My favourite Karl laugh is when he loses it, when that episode where we still don't know what Ricky was doing during the monkey news. He's like, I can't look at his face.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to.
Turns out it wasn't a problem because they're mechanics in the first place. Oh yeah, he can't get through. They actually play the Beatles in the middle of that, don't they? Because he's laughing so much. Yeah, but it's always nice to hear Karl laugh because it's rare, and it's just fun. It's just nice. It's just kind of, it's like sweet, isn't it? It's like, they're around there now, and he's like actually thinking of that they're probably still around. Like, he genuinely finds that funny, so it's kind of, it's nice. So they start off the episode. They're talking about the homeless guy. It says, "Oh, you're always there, haven't you got home to go to?"
Yeah, but oh yeah, but no. First, there's I love the Steve's arse being pinched. I just find that funny.
But his arse isn't 6 feet off.
But Steve's very good at telling stories that actually happen. He's the best actually out of all of them. But he said, but even if it wasn't, that would have been money well spent. Like, if his wallet hadn't been there. That's a great line. I love it. So much.
Steve's done a lot of stuff though about his dating history, and it's mad now because he's going out with some sort of incredible actress.
Well, you know, he's probably worth, I'd say, £6 million.
Have you seen Fighting With My Family, by the way?
No, I haven't.
I think you'd enjoy it. It's like a really good, like, feel-good British romp. It's based on this Norwich family's obsession with wrestling.
Yeah. I saw some interviews with some of the cast, the older members, because it's about children. It's a child, isn't it?
No, not really.
I saw interview with the parents or the wrestler or something.
Oh right, yeah, the real life. Yeah, it was a Channel 4 documentary.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. You should watch it.
Because that's
actually much better than anything Ricky's done. It's kind of by the by, and it's it's fairly like meat and potatoes stuff. Nothing extraordinary, but it's just like such a nice feel good
film. Yeah.
And it makes you hark back to that time where Tim and Dawn kissed in the office, and you realise like those moments must have been written by Steve.
Yeah, we both said that for a while, and it's like one thing, I didn't even watch it, but Life on the Road, which actually is for me, like the bits I've seen of it, I haven't watched all of it, but is absolutely typical of a Ricky project. There are some moments in it that are unbelievably funny, like really funny. Like
there's a funny bit in Life on the Road where this is such a simple gag. I think I told you about this once today, where David Brent goes up to his what they call like a room, the green room beforehand, and someone's just, and it's got his name on, but instead of David Brent it says David Bent, and it's just it's such a lovely cheeky gag.
Well, it harks back to the XFM days, but that's not the funniest thing in the world, to be honest. But it's not.
But I liked it because but he does the standard like
But he's when I saw the music video with Doc Brown, when I saw the Lady Gypsy, he's brilliant doing that. But what he isn't that good at doing, as far as I'm concerned, I know other people have different opinions on this, but he's not very good at sustaining a narrative in a sweet and compelling way, whereas Steve was. Now, it's probably also true that Ricky is responsible for The Office being so unbelievably funny, much more than Steve. But Steve is responsible for it being narrative, and it's just annoying that Ricky kind of got rid of Steve. But it's nice Steve...
But I think it's nice because The Office is remembered for both sides of that coin. It's not just because of the David Brent character. It's because of their capacity to tell a meaningful, emotional, sentimental story that we all remember.
Yeah, and I think that I'm pleased for Steve. Like, I'm only pleased for Steve. I'm pleased that Steve's got a girlfriend. It's not because that time when, I think it's a Claire episode, when they say, and knowing Ricky, this is not like a joke. He's saying it in a jokey way, but we carved it out early on that you would not be making the sort of money I would, and I bet that he actually did.
So, really?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, because Ricky's an actor, he's going to make more. But I think he made much more. But Steve's definitely leveled the playing field, because Steve. You never would look at Steve and say, "Oh, I feel sorry for him. He didn't really make it in his career," whereas Ricky did, and you had to see Ricky making it and not him. He's done loads of stuff. He did that talk at the Oxford Union. He's done talk at Cambridge Union as well. He's done directed things like that film that you're talking about. He's got a project now that's about juvenile offenders.
Yeah.
I would be.
He's also playing a serial killer.
Is he? Well, he's done lots of cameos. He's done cartoon episodes.
Well, he was in X-Men as well in the Wolverine film.
I don't really play computer games, but there's a game, and I can't remember what it's called. No, there's a computer game, and I can't remember what it's called. It's a really complex Portal. That's what it's called. He's the voice in Portal. Like he spent dozens and dozens of hours recording all the.
I thought that would have been a tractor sale going on somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. He's got all the voiceovers. He's got everything, and I'm only pleased for him. But anyway, let's get back to this.
Let's move on, Gary. So he's talking about the homeless chat at the start. It says, "You're always here, haven't you got home to go to?" I wanted to ask you. That's funny when he says he called me a dickhead. How do you know? I've always wanted to say that to someone in conversation. I've always wanted to.
It's hard. It never comes up. Like, but it's a great line. Like, so how do you know? Do you know him? Do you know him? Yeah, it's a great line.
I wanted to say that because I once gave a homeless guy £1 to show off when I was on a date with a woman. I think Steve's actually said exactly the same anecdote, so I'm probably. But no, that was true. And I don't really like to give money away.
No, I believe you.
I'm not as frugal as Steve, but I will not generally give money.
Mars does not give money away.
Why are you around?
No. Mars is in if it comes to stuff like that, he'll always pay his way.
Yeah.
But he does not like it getting an extra penny, which is fair enough because you shouldn't. But do you remember
You don't do it that much, do you?
Don't do what?
Give money out to people.
No, I don't. But I do sometimes give to homeless, but not that often. I've never done it to impress someone. I have been sitting on a bus and got out and sitting next to a lady and got out my chess app and started playing chess and tilted the phone towards her.
Oh, sexy!
She could see me playing chess. Just to think, like it would be. She'd then look at my face and think, "Oh, you're horrible anyway. I don't like you." But she wouldn't be impressed anyway.
Your face says serial killer, but your hands say chess maniac.
Say grandmaster.
Yes.
No, it's Mars has a particular view of the homeless.
What?
I won't. Yeah. Mars. Okay, keep this bit in. Mars. I just said something about Mars, which I won't repeat. Mars just cut out because he was embarrassed about people knowing it. We'll talk about a certain feature you did on air again. But I think let's not go through this episode in chronological order from beginning to end. But what are your favourite moments? Not quotes, because we'll come to quotes. But what are your favourite moments?
Like you, I think last episode we were talking about the boxing chat, and they do the similar thing. I'm not really a fan of the Crusade stuff. Not a fan of the wrestling stuff. I know why they talk about it, because that would have been current at the time. But there's nothing in it for me really. And it's funny, like last week, a lot of the educating Ricky it wasn't as funny because it was true. And this week's kind of the same, isn't it?
It's kind of the same. I think the reason it's not, if you listen to it, like I would still listen to that and think that's pretty entertaining. I'm being entertained. But because the educating Ricky at the beginning was so brilliant, so unbelievably brilliant, man's got a bit, but he's not his fault that it's not as good, but it's still a brilliant episode. There's a bit where, what do you think of this? Because I've talked to you about this before, but you know the bit where they're saying, what bit is it? They're saying, they're saying about Norman Cook, Fatboy Slim, and
he's got a bit of damp rag there.
Yeah. So now we said this, like Ricky going into character like that, suddenly slipping into Fatboy Slim, he's so much better at it than Steve. And I'm not criticizing Steve, because Steve is like any normal kind of funnyish person. I'll wipe it down with damn. It's much more like, it's kind of, he goes for the obvious. Ricky's so subtle, like, oh, this is one of mine, just popping on praise you there. It's so much funnier than, oh, I'm going to wipe it down with a damp rag. Steve is just very Steve is very on the nose, whereas Ricky is he's so good at doing that, and it's such a subtle thing.
Yeah.
Never come across anyone who's as good as going into character for 4 or 5 seconds then come out of character than Ricky. And that's why his acting was so good in The Office. Like, it's one of the best performances there's ever been, I think. But that was there's lots of examples of it on the shows, but that's quite a good example of it. And actually, I would like to get listeners' feedback on that particular thing. Like, do you agree with that or not? Maybe you don't. I don't know.
What's the exact question so I can make a note of it?
Do you think that? What do you think about Ricky's ability to slip in and out of character? Do you feel it's much better than Steve's? Or do you not agree with that? That's not phrased very well, but
that'll fly on the socials, mate. I'll fucking fly.
No, I'll don't put that out how I've just. I will text you a quote about another bit I like, and it's a quote, but we'll do quotes later. But I just love this. It's an example of Ricky doing that thing where he doesn't speak properly, and But I love it. Make the meat lukewarm. I just love it.
That's number second on my top quotes.
Meat lukewarm.
Make the meat lukewarm.
No, it's make the meat lukewarm. You got to hold on the M.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love. It's just Steve's such a school, and there is such a schoolboy feel to it. It's fun. I don't think I'm not. This isn't laugh out loud funny moment, but I do sort of find it funny that Steve misheard was playing with a tennis ball in the pews as pubes. It's so like,
I didn't like that.
It is such a school, but no, I know, but it's such a school.
Yeah, but you know how much of a prude I am.
I know. We don't talk about pubes or.
Oh, don't. Yeah, I can't even say it. Like. I realised I'm such a prude.
We both kind of are.
But I can't do sex chat. I can't do. Even with like.
No one's asking you. I'm not asking you to do sex chat, mate.
No, I know.
Yeah. Save that for FLJS. Email him directly. I think you're checking that.
You've joined us on. Do you know one night, right? I was in Bristol with my friend.
One night. Like when Harry Hill does that when he's.
Well, maybe we'll do our next podcast on Harry Hill.
Harry Hill, he's on a stand-up set. I love Harry. And he just every time he said one night. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Night. So one night. Me and my friend, right, we're in Bristol. Have you been to Bristol?
Yeah. I went a few months ago.
I love Bristol. Big love for Bristol.
I like it because it's got like water. Like it's got water. It's got a vibe. Like a lot of people say that Bristol is like.
Have you got your hand?
Huh? Yeah. I burnt it on the. On the oven. Like I was taking it out on the shelf above me. Touched here.
Pizza.
Pizza. It was a pizza. Yeah. In fact, I was reheating Domino's pizza.
Oh, for fun.
I swear.
Have you got a Domino's? Did you get a Domino's pizza?
I've had quite a few Domino's over
Have you really?
And yeah.
Once or on separate occasions?
No, more than once. So on separate occasions, but I only get one pizza at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I saying before you mentioned my
Bristol water?
Oh yeah, Bristol. They say I don't smoke weed, but they say it's the weed
you don't
capital.
Smoke at all, mate.
There's a lot. No, I don't. Absolutely not. But there's a feel to Bristol that's similar to Brighton, so I think I like it for that reason.
Well, we went. Me and another friend. We stayed in a hotel.
Do you mean another friend?
Another friend
What?
got them.
You've been going places with other friends?
Yeah, one night at a time.
It's like South Korea.
Stayed in a hotel and separate beds, not separate rooms, which you would fiercely
insist.
protest.
I'd insist. I wouldn't go.
So anyway, we're there in the same, and we're both pretty tired. We both had a nap after one day of sort of, I wouldn't say heavy drinking, but probably a bit of drinking.
Sorry. I would say heavy drinking. I wasn't there, but I know there was heavy drinking. I know.
So anyway, we both have a nap, and this is agreed. So we have a really nice nap. I'm enjoying myself. I do like an afternoon nap. And then when we woke up, we were kind of in the mood for going out again. We walked around. We got up, walked around. Everywhere's absolutely rammed to the rafters. And so, but we all just were like, oh, a bit tired, can't be bothered. So we came back with like some Fanta Lemon, some Haribo, and we were watching, and we were just on this god awful like dating site on,
What?
on cable. It was like a site where people, thank you. It was like a website where people like post lonely hearts text messages.
What do you mean on the TV?
Yeah, it's like a TV channel. It's a bit like Celltext. Do you remember Celltext?
No, I don't really know what Celltext.
Teletext, sorry.
Oh, Teletext, yeah.
A bit like Teletext where people just send in like lonely hearts. But it was so sad, but it was really funny.
I think I sent a few that day.
That's why you were claiming ignorance, wasn't it?
But do you know what, like, because my oh no, actually I won't say that because she doesn't. No, actually, yeah, I don't know, forget. But I know someone very significant to me that actually met their partner in a written Lonely Hearts ad in a newspaper, because that's what they used to do before the internet.
Like, people would have thought that you were creepy, that you were a pedophile or something.
Why?
No, but no, before then, people used to.
Could I just say
people.
these people that I'm talking about at the time were 65 and 64, so they weren't. There's no.
You're pathetic in a way.
Yeah, but
Sorry, what are we talking about?
obviously there's predators on any, like a Lonely Hearts ad. There's predators on the internet. Of course.
Reforestal for one.
No, no. But yeah, so well, that's an interesting story about Bristol.
Sorry.
No, it was quite interesting. But
have you ever seen an old man eating a Twix?
do you know, I coincidentally happened to be watching a bit of The Thick of It. Now, you've started watching The Thick of It recently, and Peter Mannion, and a brilliant character, and I would urge all listeners to watch The Thick of It. You know, it's really, really fun. It's political satire, but even if you're not into politics, it's really funny. But Peter Mannion, who's 54 years old in it, and he's a Conservative MP, and he says, like, he's with this spin doctor saying all this bullshit about, you know, strategizing, and it's Brent kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
He says, I'm sick of this. I'm going out for a Twix. And it made me think. So that's the only, I haven't, and you don't see him eating Twix. So I've heard of an old man eating a Twix in a piece of art, but no, I don't think I have seen an old man eating a Twix.
There was, well, you're talking about times in media, because I've never seen an old man eating a Twix, but there is an episode in Peep Show where Jeremy, someone on Reddit reminded me of this line. It's so funny. So when Jeremy's like looking through the window of the therapist, I think it's one of the later series, and he looks through the window. He doesn't want to go in and see this therapist, and he says, "Oh fuck that! He's eating a Twix. I can't take him seriously."
That's yeah. I bet. Do you know? I'm not sure about this. I might be totally wrong, but maybe Sam Bain or Jesse. I can't remember the name. Sam Baines and Jesse. What's his name?
Oh.
Anyway, the writers of
yeah.
They might be fans of the XFM show, and
I wouldn't be surprised actually.
Might put that in as a little homage to the show. I don't know that though.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair. Like is it Jesse Wallace? Not Jesse Wallace. No. Have you watched Succession? That was written by the same guys as Peep Show, or one of them. Jesse, can't remember his name.
No.
Yeah, that's really good. It's kind of based on the Murdoch family. It's interesting.
All right.
I'll send you a link after. We'll chat about it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Because it's not the most scintillating chat, to be honest. Gary, I put Y into a search engine today.
Okay.
And I wondered if you wanted to play a little game of what was Y?
Y. Okay. I've actually seen.
I'll buy you a glass of wine in 2021 if you get at least one of the. Wait a minute. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 possible answers. Okay. If you get one of them, I will buy you a bottle of red in colour.
I can tell you now, you'll be buying me wine anyway as part of your rounds deal. Sure. So,
I was literally a bit worried then that I'd committed myself to buying you a bottle of wine.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I'm obviously not going to get any because, but I actually have seen. You're actually not the first person to do this, mate. Sorry to tell you. I actually saw this feature on Graham Norton. He put in Y.
You put me up with this with a big stiff cock of a video.
Stiff cock of a video. He put in Y, and I the first one, and again we're prudes, so this isn't like nice, but the first, like, it won't be the same now, I know, but the first thing that came up was why do I fart so much? That's the first. No, I'm sorry to mention it. What, pubes? Why do I have no? That was the first thing that came up. So that's what I've got. Did that come up?
You've soiled my feature.
No.
Can you guess any of them? And there's nothing to do with the F word.
Okay. Why have I got a headache? I think might come up.
Close.
Why have I got a rash? Why?
No, think more about like symptoms of things.
Why have I got a temperature? No, why?
It's why do we yawn?
Okay.
And then there's another one. There's this happens 3 times. It says, why am I always tired? And why am I so tired? So there's a clearly everyone's fucking knackered all the time.
I've been it's me that's been putting that in and bumping up Google's
Have you got any remedies for people who are tired, Gary Forrest?
Go to bed, mate. Go to bed.
Why is there no flower? Why is the moon so bright? Why white bikes as well is another one.
Why white bikes?
No, YTE white bikes.
Oh, that doesn't count, mate. You can't.
I know it doesn't count, but that's the screenshot I'm taking.
You want to play? What you want to do is push Y and then space.
Why we sleep? That's an interesting one actually. Do you want to do some?
Have we done the Y feature? I wish you should have done the top 100. It would be good, mate, for our listenership.
I thought we could do some top quotes.
Scintillating.
It's time to do some top quotes.
Top quotes. Okay, I will start this week.
Go on.
I've done make the meat lukewarm, so I won't say that. I'm just number 5. Is that what his mum said?
Yeah. It's good.
Very good.
Mine was a number 5. What's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point? There's no point. What's the point?
Another one I love is because they've tried to avoid saying that whole bit of feature, and he goes, "Oh,
you mean twat?
What a twat!"
Yeah, that's good.
And I like his laugh afterwards. It's quite unique, actually, even for Ricky.
Yeah.
So really.
As well, I didn't know that twit was the twat.
Yeah, everything they say is true. It's a pregnant goldfish. Twit means in Yorkshire, twat would be not offensive. It would just be like twit.
But twit's not offensive anyway, is it?
No. But that's what I'm saying. Twat is like twit. So twit isn't used, but twat's used.
Isn't that weird? That I don't have a problem with swearing.
Well,
I don't really, do I?
I think both of us don't like swearing for the sake of swearing.
No,
Swearing to be the point of making something funny. I don't think I like. But for example, we talked about it just then. The thick of it is absolutely genius.
That's justified.
Because the swearing is part of the character.
It's part of the character, yeah.
So, I don't like swearing for the sake.
So, number 4, I've got So I don't think there's a lot more to learn in life.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's again like your example of a Ricky slur.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a lot more to learn in life.
Yeah. No. It's very good. Don't think there's a lot. It's like he pronounces it like a.
He's got such a nice intonation in his voice, hasn't he? I was watching old videos of him with whilst he was doing the wrestling program, just for a bit of because I'd never seen them before actually, and he does carry that over that whole I don't know, he just looked like he was having so much fun, like everything was new to him, and I guess it would have been at that time. You're like 40, you're getting like fame.
Sorry, you mean boxing, don't you? Not wrestling.
I mean, but no, yeah, boxing. Sorry, but I also got onto like old like Gervais videos, and he just looked like everything was new, everything was fun. It's like it's like that excitement you get when you're on your second pint. Everything's exciting.
Like I think in those times, like now, it's like he feels he's got, and he absolutely has got a brand, and it's like he's always trying to keep up. Like if you work for Virgin, you've got to wear certain uniform. You can't smoke near the building. You've got to do all these things. You've got to protect your brand. Whereas in the early days, he didn't care. He didn't have a brand.
Yeah.
He just didn't care. He wasn't trying to protect his image. Whereas I think now he kind of tries to protect his image a bit too much. My next one is, I think you'd be happy in a Young Offenders Institute. Good quote from Steve. That I think that's a solid quote. It's not the funniest, but it's a solid. It's a solid because it's true.
It's funny that a lot of the quotes that we bring up are also not the funniest ones. They're normally like just declaratives, like quite like remarks or something.
Yeah, I would caveat that with this episode in particular. There would, had we not discussed why Put It in a Bowl First, Twix and Whitney Houston, they would all be in my top quotes, but because they're not, because we kind of covered that.
And number 3, I've got. He looked at me and said, "What about Ricky Martin?"
Yeah, Ricky Martin.
And I would also say, I know it's a bit naughty, but I still find it funny when he goes, So what about Ricky Jippo Gervais? I mean,
No, that's not naughty. It's not
I know
naughty.
you shouldn't say that word, but I still find that funny.
Yeah, it's not. Although I will say, I certainly would never use that word. Like, obviously, but it's not naughty in the sense that he's not doing it offensively. Like, he's doing it to
Cool.
there's one person he's mocking in that scenario, and it's himself, and
Course,
that's what
yeah.
he's so good at. The next one I've just repeated this, but even if it wasn't, that would have been money well spent. I just love that from Steve.
Yeah.
She thought it was a big furry animal.
As you mean Susie Dibblethwaite's beaver?
Dibblethwaite's beaver, yeah.
And you've got a thing about beavers. I was listening to one of our old shows, and you
Well,
just
hang on, don't just say that.
I'm sorry.
The actual animal.
I automatically assume everyone knows everything about Gary Forrestal.
I like the animal.
Because in a way, you're my favourite character.
I'm fascinated by a beaver. You know, if you get a beaver and put him into your living room, what he'll do, gather. Yeah, this is true. This is true. He will gather all of the stuff that he can pick up. So, for example, like
magazine,
TV controllers, or anything that he can say, and he'll start building a big pile, a big dam. He would dam off your living room, even though there's no water there. They're just in
by the front door.
It's just amazing. How can it's just. No, not necessarily either halfway across your living room. And the reason I know that is because there's a video of it online, and actually she talks about that they're always doing that. And
is that the skeleton of a beaver I see behind you on your couch?
No.
Gary's got pictures of shells, but no reason.
And I've got a kind of tulip.
I really want to style your flat. Sorry.
My flat is styled in the appropriate manner.
Talking about beavers, though, I mean, I didn't know that.
But yeah, that's it. Anyway, where were we? That was funny.
My second one was, but make the meat lukewarm. That was it.
Warm. Yeah.
I want to know if you're gonna get my number one.
Well, I would just say that this is my last one, so you can do next. Don't say anything.
Okay.
But I would say that I've said this before, but I think this is the one. This is the one. Out of all the quotes, this is the one we do to each other most often in our company. At the end bit of this.
I'm excited.
You can't have food delivered to your flat because you haven't got one. We do that all because you haven't got one.
Well, I certainly don't have my flat.
No, we don't say it about flats. We say about.
No, I know.
I might be saying, "Oh, I fancy some cheese or something." And you say, "I haven't got any." You haven't got one. You haven't got cheese.
My number one is, in what way has told me that Brian Bash has shat himself?
Oh, you love that one, yeah. You love that more than I do. I think.
I know.
Just love it
because he speeds. It's the way that he says it. He speeds up when he says it. He goes, "In what ways has Brian shit himself?"
Yeah.
And the fact when you're talking about swearing, that is when the use of the word shit is like so necessary.
Yeah.
Because in what ways? And it was never part of the original Karl's educating Ricky section.
Yeah, it's just a bit on the end. But the funny.
And he went up and it paid with his vows.
The funny thing about that, what Ricky says is, he's absolutely right. Like that is an absolutely valid question. In what way is showing me Brian Blessed shit himself in any way educational? Some more comments then.
We've got more comments. This is from Yosef at Hobag85, and we have heard of him in the past.
I've heard Hobag. It rings a bell. Yeah.
Hobag. Yeah, we're not talking about life but we are talking about the person on Twitter. Just listen. This was a response from not the last show, but the show before. And he said, just listen to the first part of the latest show. When Gary talks about your decision not to review the post-XFM podcasts, He's searching for how to describe the difference in Ricky, Steve, and Karl's relationship. I'd say it's a bit more professional relationship by the time of the podcasts, carefully engineered to look a bit more raucous and knockabout. But to listeners of the XFM shows, it's pretty obvious that the three of them have been through the Gervais publicity process, and Ricky has sat Steve and in particular Karl down and said, right, let's make some serious money out of this instead of dicking around on that tin pot station. It lacks the amateur feel of the XFM shows, as well as the odd sense of playing with fire I always picked up from the radio shows, because they ultimately had an employer and a slot. Anyone could be listening, etc. And you know how far Ricky and Steve would push it? On the podcasts, they would say what they wanted, knowing only fans would pay and download it. Plus, you hear recycled stuff from the radio shows all the time. They pretend to laugh like it's the first time they've heard the story, but we know. Oh, we know. Anyway, rant over. Sorry, guys. Bloody good episode is what I wanted to say, rather than get on my high horse. Well, thank you so much for the comments.
Yusuf, can I just react to that? So, I think you've really, I'm not just saying this, I think you've summed it up perfectly. I love some of the phrases used, carefully engineered, publicity machine. I completely agree with you, and I'd say whatever you do, Yusuf, you should do writing, because you've really phrased that well. Like, it's absolutely true. It's a very good way to phrase it. I couldn't find that myself on air, but yeah, it's perfect. They've been for a publicity machine. I don't know if it's as formal as sitting them down and saying, but I think, yeah, probably, certainly it was suggested that, you know, not just we should make money out of this by not doing it on XFM, doing it on podcasting, but also you need to do this. You need to be like this. We want you to laugh.
Do you seriously think, though, that Ricky would have either sat them down, or do you think this was fairly, you know, no information by Karl and you know, they clearly found a model of success, and by then podcasting was a new medium as well. They were kind of pioneers in that respect. You know, they all said by their own admission, you know, it's hilarious that they're in the Guinness World Records because, you know, there was no competition.
But I think that the only thing I'd say is when they started doing the podcast, first of all, yeah, I'm not sure it was 100% about making money, because they did make all of those ones free, but it was about, you know,
they did charge £1. They did charge £1 a podcast though at one stage. I remember that.
They did, of course. They're from Series 2. They did, but they didn't charge anything for the first set of podcasts. I just think like that was all part of Ricky trying to get Karl, because he always talked about trying to get out there, and that was Ricky trying to get Karl out there. Now, it absolutely.
Well, you feel like he would have only done that with the lure of money, because I would have done it. I wouldn't have done it without money.
No, I mean, I've no doubt that in the first series of the podcast, well, you've seen an interview with Karl where they say this. They would have paid Karl 20, 30, 40,000 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, he was on loads of money.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't think it was really cynical at the very beginning, but Yusuf is completely right. Like, it became, and it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, he has a brand now, and he tries to protect it. So what he's saying is filtered for a brand. It was never filtered on XFM ever, and that's what. And again, Yusuf says it lacks the amateurish feel, and you know, I've always been one for liking something that is a bit amateurish in certain ways. You like stuff that's more professional and polished, but I know we don't we don't disagree hugely, because you like amateur stuff. But you could have something amateur and it'd be rubbish, absolutely. But the amateur feel adds something to it. It makes it more real.
I think authenticity is the key to anything that's good. Yeah,
and I think that absolutely, and it was very authentic, and Yusuf, I think that's perfect. Really, really well done. For like, it's patronising to say well done. You don't need a well done from me, but
does he?
But when I read that, and I just quickly skim read it before the Rich Sanchez show, but Mars just read it back. I thought that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I could not have said that better myself.
Gary, I'm bored of talking to you, mate. What do you want to call this episode?
I think we could call it. I think it should reference.
Twixes.
I think just put it in a bowl first. It's my favourite. I think put it in a bowl first.
You've said it. It's now going to be called Put It in a Bowl First, episode 12. Do listen to this show. Also, like and subscribe.
So I had a question. I forgot to get it. Just a little question. They talk about old man eating Twix, and then he says, that's why they've got their Werthers. Werther's original, right?
Yeah.
My question is this. What do Werthers do other flavours?
No.
They must. Well, why would it be called Werther's original? If there must be an unoriginal one, which is like, I don't know, lime flavoured or something. But
you wouldn't. No, but Werther's original just sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah. I thought
they were German apparently.
Okay.
Brand of in German. Yeah. Okay. I think they're a small family. They're probably no one's going to eat them. Do you like a Werther's original?
No, I don't.
My granddad used to like them, so that cliche is true.
It is true because my grandparents did. But I just wanted to leave the show on a high by bringing up that question. I'm so sorry, everyone. Yeah, thank you for listening so much. Wait.
One more thing.
Oh.
We
are terrible at wrapping up because we always do this. We always do this.
Attraction. I think people like it, or they don't care. I always like to finish the show with adding a couple of songs to the Trout Spinners library. This is Gary. So this is a playlist that we keep updated on Spotify. Some of our favourite songs, either songs influenced by the shows or just songs that are in our personal preference. But either way, just for you to get sort of slightly closer, but not too close, to the Miles and Gary team. I suppose is what we call it.
Yeah.
Do you have a song you'd like to whack in the library?
Okay, I've decided. I got my iPod out, but just to look through. The song I want to. Okay, I've decided it's a song I really like. I want to add it. It's Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what that's my song.
Sorry, say that again.
Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Why?
Because that's a song I like. Doesn't have to be Christmas. It could be April the 5th or... You
went from last week doing like an Oasis song to...
No.
Carrie.
Well, that's why I'm such a likeable kind of guy. No, I'm joking. I'm not.
Okay. Well, that's all... I don't mind that. I mean, it's probably... After the Pogues, it's probably the best Christmas song, isn't it?
I love it. I just think people take the piss out of it, and I'm not a fan of Mariah Carey in his other work.
I don't mind. No, I don't mind it, man. She's not a surprise.
She's not terrible. She's just like.
She's not. Just a surprise.
But that song, I love. So
okay, it's in there.
I know it's April, but I'm a kind of weird kind of guy, and I do weird things.
Conventionalist, as they say in a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What's your song, mate?
I'm going to choose Lady Green and Soul by David Bowie, just to bring the tone up of it.
Showing off.
This has been the Trout Spinners. I have been Miles Pennell. With me, my lovely co-host.
Single Gary
Your Highness.
Single, but plays chess occasionally. Still doesn't impress anyone.
Guys.
No, I don't.
Look after yourself. And we will...
In all seriousness, I do want to say, I do hope everyone stays safe. Well, I don't want the listenership to decrease, like when they go to the Iraq War. No, I'm joking. I genuinely hope everyone stays well. This has been Trout Spinners. See you next week.